Tim Dillon carved up JD Vance yesterday in his pod, and pretty much because JD Vance won't stop acting like a dumb blonde whenever he's asked about the Epstein files. Like, seriously, I know he wore that blonde wig in college, but it's over with. Enough with the dumb blonde energy. I'm over it.
This is the thing when, like, JD Vance goes on Rogan and goes, well, you know, they have this whole discussion about the Epstein docs, and JD is like, I'll go to my death believing it was a larger conspiracy. You know, it's kind of like these guys are like, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's like, no, you're the vice president. What are you talking about? JD Vance is talking about this like he's a guy at a bar in the town I grew up in on Long Island, where he'd be like, I'll always believe it was a conspiracy. You sure? That guy owns a pool company. He's gonna be like, yeah. What are you gonna do? I'll always believe someone on there.
Do I think there is any? I've never seen a single piece of credible evidence that the President of the United States engaged in wrongdoing with minors, ever. So, like when the president says the hoax, that's what he's talking about, is this democratic idea that he somehow was a file. It's absurd. There's no evidence for it.
This guy's the vice president of the United States of America, going on the biggest podcast in the world, going, yep, I read all the files. Trump's innocent. Also, I'll always believe there was a greater conspiracy there. I'll always think something was going on. But what am I going to do? I'm the vice president. That's JD Vance's character arc right now. Is his whole entire thing is just telling people what the vice president can't do.
Anything that existed from the 80s and 90s up to 2006, 2007, anything that existed that we didn't get back then was disappeared, right? So like when people say, has what you've seen on the inside make you think that that Epstein never blackmailed people or that Epstein never engaged in broader sex trafficking? No, absolutely not. What I have seen, and I've looked at most of the files, is that there just wasn't dispositive evidence.
Vance is acting like that guy in the bar, the conspiracy theorist, who's always shouting, oh, dude, release the Epstein files. You know what I mean? Release it, dude. Oh, my God. Even though this man owns the bar and has a freaking keen attraction to leather couches. What are we talking about? You're the vice president. You're not the guy at the bar. He's pretty much telling people, well, what can I do, though, dude? He's using dude language, by the way. He's using dude language. What can I do now? How about you try releasing the files? How about you release them without redacting them? How about that? He's the vice president. I'm pretty sure he has the Epstein files on his nightstand. I'm pretty sure he reads a verse from it every single night before he goes to bed. Vance saying, I have never seen a single piece of evidence, though. Substantiated evidence. What are we talking about? All we have seen are victims coming out and sharing their tragic stories to the public. And Trump repeatedly has tried to squander these stories. Like this one came out like 2 months ago. Alleged Epstein victim and Trump accuser living in fear of retaliation, relative says. Trump admin faces an escalating controversy over handling of, quote, Jane Doe 4 documents and Epstein files. White House has called her allegations, quote, completely baseless. Also, this happened like 2 days ago. Epstein victims recently met with Todd Blanche, the new attorney general, and it states here that victims called Blanche condescending and evasive. Everyone in the Trump cabinet has been compromised, and they are doing their best to ensure that these files do not reach the public. Also, I feel like we should bring more limelight to this, but this happened yesterday. The U.S. Justice Department refuses New Mexico's request for the Epstein files. New Mexico says the withheld records are critical to its criminal investigations into the alleged abuse at Epstein's ranch in New Mexico. Again, the Justice Department is not cooperating with New Mexico's request for the Epstein files. Every action by the Trump admin or somebody in the Trump cabinet screams they are doing their very best to withhold this information from reaching the public. And mind you, this is after Trump ran on releasing the Epstein files. But never mind that. You see Trump fighting the Epstein Transparency Act. And the only reason somebody would do that is because they're guilty and they have something to hide. Anyways, in this video, we're going to do a quick little video regarding Tim Dillon and him just pretty much mopping the floor with JD Vance. Granted, I will admit, this is Tim Dillon. I don't trust him. I think everything behind it has an ulterior motive. That's just that. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. So here's the next clip.
Like, what about the war in Iran? He goes, there's not much I can do. I just kind of hang out and, Watch as I'm part of the administration that betrays its voters and does the opposite of everything it said it was going to do. I just kind of hang out and, this Epstein thing, who knows? What are you going to do? It's a lot of what are you going to do energy from the vice president. I'm not saying the vice president's like an all-powerful figure, but it's just hilarious that, that's his argument. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Is this idea that Donald Trump, was sort of, I've even heard people say he was blackmailed into this.
Yeah,
by
a
the
lot
Israelis.
of people think that.
That's not true, dude.
No?
It's just not true. I've seen the decision making up close. Again, whether you agree or disagree with our negotiation, or whether you agree or disagree with the decision to launch the campaign Epic Fury to begin with, the idea that Donald Trump is being blackmailed is crazy to me.
Yeah, these Epstein docs, isn't that nuts, Joe? You heard about that? What? You're the vice president of the United States.
Timmy also said that, if we invade Iran, they are going to send JD Vance on a podcast tour, which I actually do agree with. The Trump cabinet, especially Trump, they are going to send this man to the manosphere, clavicular, Aiden Ross. Heck, they'll send JD Vance to ESPN. They're going to have him sit down with Tom Brady about the all-out blitz that we're about to send to Tehran. He's going to be like, hey, man, so this is going to be the formation. We're going to do an all-out blitz here. It'll happen in the third quarter. Should be quick and simple. And Trump's going to try to scapegoat JD Vance, even though JD Vance, but still, just like he did with Pam Bondi. It seems like Trump right now is trying to squander or eliminate any sort of possible 2028 presidential campaign run by JD Vance. Anyways, that's in the past. Tim Dillon, and with this whole thing going off on JD Vance, mind you, this to me screams of another instant of another Rogan Sphere comic bashing the Trump admin. It's Tim Dillon, who's been repeatedly doing so since last summer for over a year now. We see Andrew Schultz being very critical of the Trump admin. As a matter of fact, he doesn't even talk about politics anymore, this motherfucker. He's ducking to hide. You see Shane Gillis, making little subtle jabs at the Trump admin. Duncan Trussell recently went on his pod, and he was just like, why did we go in this war, man? Why did we go in this war? Stavros, obviously, I don't even think he's a Rogan Sphere comic anymore. Amongst others, Dan Soder, a lot of people right now are just over with the Trump admin. Yet only one person remains, Joe Rogan, who is, in my opinion, the puppet, the overall useful idiot. The Trump admin uses Joe Rogan and his platform as a state propaganda show. Let's just be honest. This is state media right here. He is not independent media. He is not, quote unquote, politically homeless. He has been doing damage control, doing his best to steer attention away from the current atrocities from the Trump admin. He just went to the White House for the stupid UFC White House events, amongst others for the Ibogaine thing. He is a part of the group. He is a part of the, quote unquote, deep state, the globalist, or whatever the hell. He's Peter Thiel's best friend. I would be willing to bet that the entire Rogan Sphere comics, besides Tony Hinchcliffe and Joe Rogan, they are all in one group chat, and I'm pretty sure they are bashing Joe Rogan behind his back. Trust me. Is this a bet on Polymarket, actually? I would be willing to bet that this would come out sooner or later. I'm pretty sure guys like Andrew Schultz, Shane Gillis are talking shit behind Joe Rogan's back, but never in front of his face, though, because they don't want to upset their quote-unquote comedy czar. Also, one last nugget before I continue on. Tim Dillon is going to support JD Vance in 2028. I'm calling it right now. He's doing this now, but then, once 2028 comes around, he's going to get the call. You know what I mean? He's gone to multiple dinner dates with JD Vance. So, this is now, but 2 years from now, I just have a feeling it'll be him. It'll be Theo Vaughn. They're going to be jumping back on the train. I'm calling it right now. But, I could be wrong, but, we'll see.
They keep trying to play this game where they're like this folksy, kind of like relatable, like, yeah, these fucking elites. He has like this detached intellectual thing he does. JD Vance, like he's not a part, like he's like a commentator.
What I have seen, and I've looked at most of the files, is that they're just...
By the way, can we stop for a minute? How does he have time to like write a book, read all of the Epstein file? Like, how does he have the time to do this? By the way, he's wrote a book. He's reading all of the Epstein files. When's he doing that? He's also a dad, a husband, the vice president. When's he doing that? What is he doing? Is he reading them to the kids at night? Is he reading the Epstein files to the children? Is that the reading material for the household? How exactly does this work?
The idea that Donald Trump could not have killed that legislation, especially with the United States Senate, is a joke. He absolutely could have killed it. What did he do? He actually said, nope, we're going to release these files. He thought, he was annoyed by the story. He was annoyed by the Democrats accusing him of doing things bad. By the way, do I think there is I've never seen a single piece of credible evidence.
Some of the stuff that was redacted, some of the names that were redacted weren't victims.
So, yeah, I've looked into this, and my understanding of this, having looked at a lot of this, but not all of it, is that it is sometimes hard to draw a distinction between victim and co-conspirator.
He was annoyed that the Democrats were... Can you play that again? He
absolutely could have killed it. What did he do? He actually said, nope, we're going to release these files. He thought, he was annoyed by the story. He was annoyed by the Democrats accusing him of doing things bad.
He was annoyed that the Democrats were accusing him of doing things bad. It was annoying to him.
JD Vance stating that, that Trump was getting annoyed by all of these claims from the Democrats regarding him being the Epstein files. It was Trump himself who called this a hoax. He started it. He's the one who promised this on his campaign. What are we talking about? Trump is the same one who's fighting tooth and nail since the very beginning of the Epstein Transparency Act. And they still haven't released everything. They still haven't. They are right now battling with New Mexico. For those who don't know, Epstein had a ranch in New Mexico. A lot of diabolical shit probably happening there. And right now New Mexico itself are investigating it, but the U.S. Justice Department is not cooperating because I'm pretty sure Trump put in a call. Every single action that Trump does screams guilty. We know this. Man was best friends with him for over a decade. He was on the Lolita Express, Epstein's plane. Well, yeah, Trump's plane as well. Multiple times, he wrote him letters, birthday letters, that went public, amongst other stuff. More victims keep coming out with their tragic stories, and mind you, all of this is coming out and Joe Rogan is there just alone in Epstein Island. Joe Rogan is defending and trying to distract from what's going on right now. Joe Rogan being the guy who got big on conspiracies. He was the conspiracy guy. Now all of a sudden has nothing to say when the frickin' vice president is right in front of him. No pushback whatsoever. He lets the VP walk all over him and he's just sitting there nodding. Yeah, man. Perhaps, yeah, man. Enough with that. I'm pretty sure a guy like Tim Dillon sees through that. Guys like Andrew Schultz, Shane Gillis, they know. Comics, for the most part, they're treacherous beings, but they're good at reading the room. They're good at knowing when to fold and when to move on. I will be willing to bet that they see the writing on the wall with Joe Rogan, and they're going to move on to the next hot name to carry the torch. Anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think. Just a quick little video. I mean, we know about JD Vance and Tim Dillon's history. Tim Dillon has stated outright he has gone to eat dinner with JD Vance. As a matter of fact, last year, Tim Dillon pretty much did an Epstein cover-up episode with Alex Jones. So while he is being highly critical right now, and rightfully so, I do believe that there is still a chance that he will just throw his hat and defend JD Vance in 2028. I'm calling it right now. Anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. Till the next video. Peace, y'all.